today. Stand and watch for us. I sleep at night, they're awake, and they're making sure that my family's safe. Pray for every one of those men and women. Stand for us. When we go the other way, we see danger. They go into it. Praise you for them. Thank you for what they do. May this meeting be productive. May you lead us in unity in Christ's name.
Salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice.
I'd like to welcome our committee members that are here, Howard and Bill. See a couple of our other commissioners around, so it'll be good to get started. We'll go ahead and get started. Do we have approval of the agenda from our last meeting? Mr. Winters with approval, Mr. Howard Thompson with a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Not wasting any time, we'll move right on into the agenda. We'll call on Sheriff to come up with agenda item A, tier update.
Thank you all for having the meeting. We're glad to be here. We're going to make it short and sweet and try to get through the agenda quick. I think they got some in the room at 12. We're going to start out with item A, the tier update. This is the accreditation update, which brings us extra monies for each state inmate. The state actually raised it from $3 to $6, so every day we get $6 additional as long as we're accredited for each state inmate, which I've been looking at the numbers. It probably amounts up to around $200,000 a year extra monies that we're bringing in from those inmates. And I think Elizabeth Harris and Sergeant Harris and Captain Walls are going to present.
So this shows you that in 2025, the additional Tier 1 funding we received in August was $19,344. September of this year was $17,460. October was $21,018, and November of 2025 is $19,080. And of course, the reason that it fluctuates depends on how many state that we have. We've already had our accreditation audit, and it was in October of 2025, and we passed it, so we have our accreditation for the next year. July's invoice did not reflect the extra $3, so they have reimbursed us for that.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. What do we have to go through as far as accreditation? You don't have to go into every detail, but just what are the summaries?
So the Tier 1 accreditation, it's extra programs that we have in place, giving resources for the inmates.
Right.
So like the church programs, education programs, Alcoholics Anonymous, NA, things like that, having 24-hour medical care, just doing more than the bare minimum for the inmates.
Great. I like the 24-hour medical care.
Yes, we have them all the time.
Way to go. Congratulations.
Do you have a lot of participants in your programs?
Yes, we actually today had 8 inmates graduate with their GED.
Great.
Yay.
They completed all their tests and everything. And then all of the church programs and the pods, they participate a few times a week.
Great. Any other questions? Got tier 1. We'll move right on into item B, maintenance update, Mr. Sheriff.
Let me compliment before they sit down when it's due. Sergeant Harris stepped in this role and actually handled accreditation when surprised somebody left that was handling it. He stepped in, made it more digital. They complimented me. The TCI inspectors complimented our agency on how well it was done this time and how good a job she had done doing it digital, and she wanted everything set up on digital, and that's what she's doing. She does a good job. Next is a maintenance update, and I think we're going to go over some different things and what we spent since the last meeting and some problems we see forthcoming. Sandra's going to come and handle it, and a representative from the Double D is here, Double D Plumbing, and they'll tell you some of the problems we see in the future and what we're dealing with.
Update, from where we were at last meeting. I told you that we had spent so much money. We've had some more HVAC, repairs that have had to take place, because if you'll remember, the first set of HVAC units that we put on the building are 5 years old, so they're out of warranty. And then we have just an update, our unit on the kitchen went in and everything is operational there, so all of the work there is complete. We signed the contract for the fall protection to go in HPOD. There's gonna have to be some amendments to some scope of work in the contract for some additional, repairs there, or some additional additions to that. We haven't got that far yet, but just an update on that. And the main thing we were gonna talk to you about is our water lines. I know we touched base on those before. Jonathan's here with Double D's to kind of explain a couple of things. We recently, within the last month, had to have a portion of our hot water line, a small portion of our hot water line replaced in one of the pods. We have some pictures, and I'll let him.
So
Would you
based on-
state your name, sir, please, and your company?
This is Jonathan with Double D Piping. We responded to a leak in one of the cells, right outside of it. One of the things that we found is there's a video. In this video, you can see, the area that you have to go through to get to where the lines are located. You have a very tight area. The line is between the ductwork to the left, and the brick wall. Where that line comes through the brick wall, it 90s up. So it turns and it feeds the upper area, which is what you can see. The two white pieces is what originally the copper piece in the picture, which is the top item, look like. Once to get there, that's a task. You have to cut sheetrock, you have to cut through metal, and then you have to find a way to get there to that area. I have that piece of pipe with me that can be passed around if anybody would like to see it. You can see where the leak was at. But what you're seeing now on that slide is the inside of the line. I have the other half of that line where it was cut here that can be seen. 3/4 of that piece of pipe has been filled with sediment. So this sediment that I'm holding in my hand here, it has dried. It's perfectly solid. As well as you can see, it's right there in the picture. One of the things is that's in the middle of the building. So for that to be in the middle of the building, what is the beginning and what does the end of that building look like? Which in turn, if that happens, that for some reason it breaks loose, all that sediment's going into screens on sinks, showers, toiletry, which can, future plumbing issues. The main way that was found is on the top of this pipe, there was a leak. It was a pinhole leak. It happened in the solder. It's a 21-year-old water line pretty much. So there's no, why did it happen? Is it going to happen again? How are we going to address it? And it's kind of a, hey, we got to plan on future maintenance for it to come, because it will come. That's about what it is. Does anybody?
Where's the sediment all coming from, sir?
So at one time, before the hot water heaters were changed, I think that could have been some of it. We've put into place that we're going to flush the hot water heater that's there now, to try to keep sediment from building up. At this point, we're trying to be cautious, because, and if you want me to bring this to you, you can see if this starts breaking loose, it's going to be a problem, just because that one area is so tight. Some of the areas are in block walls and et cetera. So it's over time, even in your household water lines. That's why years ago, a lot of folks, they had galvanized pipe in their house, and then they said, hey, galvanized isn't a thing anymore because it collects sediment. Typically, you don't see it this bad in copper, but the pipe that we have replaced with is PEX. and PEX pipe does not seem to have the buildup or hold the buildup that any other material will.
Any other questions? Mr. Thompson?
Do we have any type of, water treatment there at all, the jail?
So the city filters and chlorinates and treats the water. As far as on site that I'm aware of, and it's just what I'm aware of, there's not.
So that's mostly what, lime buildup?
Yes, sir.
stuff like that?
Would you like to see it?
I know what you're talking about. We have it in our area out there
Okay.
too, you know, and have a lot of problem with it, but it's lime buildup and you gotta have a treatment to take care of that, but it costs a lot of money to do that too. So, that's just a question I asked her, was it lime buildup?
It's lime and calcium, I feel like,
Okay.
and probably just, there could be a little bit of other media, that makes it through, but there are Y strainers on the line to catch anything that's major, sediment that could come from an underground leak or a repair, so.
Mr. Winters?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's the solution to this problem?
We've talked about a couple of things. One of the main things is, I think, fix it as an as-needed basis, just because as you can see in that first picture, there's no way really to just, hey, we're gonna go in and change this. It's a process that in the area, they're a secure area where it's at, but to access it, to get to it, just to do a standard repair, it would be costly.
You're taking a step at a time.
Yes, sir.
What kind of money would that be?
It all depends. I think that this last repair, by the time that we got everything done and got access and into the area, it was around a little over $1,000. And it's more of you have to get on both sides of the wall and above it to make the repair. That does not include repairing the sheetrock or the other material. And then something that we also run into is whenever a leak like that happens, water gets in fixtures and other things that, could cause damage to that with the lighting.
So what is the immediate thing that needs to be done?
I would, if my personal opinion and professional opinion is, I would plan on putting in extra money into the budget for these repairs as they happen. You can't necessarily say when it's going to happen or if it'll happen. It could be today, it could be tomorrow. We could be back out for another repair.
How much per each? I think if you're just starting, how much would you?
This happened. It's
Yeah.
the visitation often inmates go there. Have to drops. So we're looking at a have to that part of something that can give us access that so that inmates having to come up with. We had another water lines no access pipes, no drops.
Mr. Thompson?
I guess it'd be expensive to have a water treatment system set up, wouldn't it?
It would be, yes, sir. My fear at this point is if a water treatment was to be put on, what would happen to all the sediment in the line?
Right.
Because as you can see in that picture and in my hand, over 3/4 of that 1-inch line is sealed with sediment. So if that treatment starts breaking it loose, is it going to break it loose a layer at a time? Is it going to break it loose a piece at a time? And is that piece going to end up down a line and clog something downstream dramatically? And that's the unknown with it, that we're trying to look and come up with solutions and ideas to the best way. And then, like Cassandra was saying, for the future, you know, are we gonna put in a lock, you know, hatch right there that we can get access for long term, because there is 2 other lines right there in that same area. There's 3 lines that run through there.
You think PEC's, replacing it with PEC will help it?
I honestly do. I don't feel like that it's gonna have the build up, as well as the PEX pipe is a little more flexible, so you can make your turns a little
Right.
bit easier for those tight areas.
Any other questions? Anybody else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'll just say in addition to that, I know there's one leak in the wall, and it's in the north training room. We've been looking at it, and I've got them looking at it now, and we may have to do something about it. Don't know where it's coming from. Think it may be coming from the showers in the pod beside it, but we've noticed the wall, and I'm gonna have to address it and have it looked at. So we don't know where we're going. I just thought you needed to know. I thought y'all needed to know the water situation. In worst case scenario, we continue to have to fix situation after situation. You know what's going on. And I think we're going to drain our present holding tank. And I think Jonathan mentioned, since we put in the new tankless system, he thinks it may have improved that water. However, the old boilers, when we took them out, were full of sediment in the bottom. So what I want to do is have them and throw Cassandra, try to get them, Jonathan, to drain our holding tank and see what kind of sediment we have in it now, to give us some idea of where we're at. And are we better than we were when we had the old boilers? I think we are. Good.
Any questions, Sheriff, on that? Any estimates on what you might increase in your budget for this type of stuff? Just a rough estimate?
We hadn't even sat down and talked about that yet. I think I've said that's one of the things I'll have to increase is the building maintenance. I'm going to try to be just the things we really need in the budget, but there's certain things will have to be increased, and one of them is definitely building maintenance. I don't know the figure yet, so
Okay.
as I stand here, I don't have a figure. I want to be reasonable, but I want to have enough money to repair the place I'm just there for a short time, taking care of the place for you. And I just need to make sure we take care of it in the future.
As of right now, how much, has your maintenance budget, how much, I think you said over half of it's already been spent, Cassandra?
We know half of it's gone. But
Goes from last budget year, but I know that, once this budget year started, the process for POs has kind of changed as well. So, with those expiring in December, it also may put, because we've never really had to have true numbers, because I've had carryover money that I've been able to spend in the previous budget. So it's gonna take us some time to really sit down and decide if, what the cost is gonna be.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure y'all be on top of that and
yeah,
looking
it's
at
new
it.
to us this year, and I think the mayor will agree, because purchase orders, open purchase orders are being treated differently, and we're trying to adjust to see what we need. So we'll get a better idea as we go through this year, but we will have to address each project by project as we go. Where we go, I don't know. I'll communicate with y'all if we see a big problem coming.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Uh,
Medical update?
yeah, the medical update.
Just to touch base, just to kind of give you an idea on where we're at. We've spent, so we have 2 lines for medical, a line that pays just the contract amount, and then we have a $5.99 other charges line that pays for everything additional. So, like I've said before, it pays for off-site medical costs, all pharmaceuticals, on-site labs, on-site mobile imaging. So just wanted to kind of give an update that in the first 4 months, we've spent $199,481.39 on off-site medical costs, pharmaceuticals, all of the other expenses that go into medical. That is, we haven't received invoices. We had a female that jumped within this month. we were responsible for at least a week in the hospital for her. She had 3 surgeries. The last female that we had, once our prices were negotiated with Erlanger, we had to pay $32,000. So that came out of this budget as well. So just to give a heads up, I don't know what that cost is going to be, but hopefully the fall protection that we're going to put in HPOD will help with at least that cost. And we currently have a female in the hospital now that's been there for a week. She's had a surgery. Don't know what that cost will end up being once we have our negotiated pricing. And luckily, we were able to get rid of this particular inmate, but we had an inmate whose medicine was $8,000 a month. So we have recently been able to transport him back to Alabama, so that cost should decrease a little as well. But that's just where we're at right now.
Are these federal prisoners you're dealing with or local?
No, we do not pay federal medical care. So off-site medical costs, their pharmaceuticals, anything that we treat a federal inmate for, the federal government pays for.
Any questions? Medical side of it? Seeing none. Thank you, Cassandra. Employee pay update?
Yeah, I'll give it, I don't have anything in writing. I've been looking over it. I can tell you, I just put the counties up again. You saw them before in the last meeting. I'm going to put together a plan, and I will present a plan in the budget, and I will work with you, and I hope you work with me, but I will go middle of the road. And I can tell you it's middle of the road, and I know what that number is in my mind, and I will lay that out as to, it will be average for the surrounding areas and the sheriff's office. So I've got to do that. I'm sure I'll hear from one side, I'm probably not asking for enough, and from the other side, I'm asking for too much. So it will be a slippery slope that I walk, but I've got to represent my people because I believe they're above average, but we at least have to get to average pay. And I will present that in the budget.
The charges, what you do now, the red line is where you're at right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Where we're at now.
Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Chairman, I spoke to Steve there a while ago about what I'd like to see myself. I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but the fire department, sheriff's department, schools, the whole 9 yards. But anyway, I've had a lot of calls from the fire department this week about what we're going to do about the budget, and I've got some calls from the sheriff's department asking the same thing. You know, of course, I understand that everybody wants an increase in salary. I understand that's what they're asking. But I said, why don't the fire department, I asked them, I said, won't y'all get a committee together and study this thing and ask the people in the community? But Steve come up with an idea that maybe a person out of each district be on a committee and find out what they really need before budget time, and come back to us as a commission. And if it's salary or ever what it is and what it's going to take, and I know I don't like to say this because I don't like tax increase because I pay taxes, but we're at a point that we're growing, and we haven't got much of a choice. And it's going to come sooner than we think, but we haven't got much of a choice, that we're going to have to raise taxes. That's the only way the money gets into this county is through taxes. The fire tax, of course, it goes to the fire department and the rest of it, sheriff's department and schools and everybody else. But anyway, that's a nasty word sometimes to say, but it's to the point that we're going to have to do something. We're growing. And everybody says, well, you got 500 houses going up in your district. What happens to that money? Well, it takes services for those people, too. So anyway, we've got problems, and I'd just like to see, way before budget time, is to see something come up. It's what the needs are in these departments. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Any other comments referencing that? So, Sheriff, you're looking at that. You have a time frame on when you might come back with any of those figures?
Yeah, as soon as I get it together, I don't care to share. I just want to be sure I get in the budget and I got to play it out. Because I'm not going to go overboard. I understand we represent the taxpayer, and I also got to represent my agency. Like I said, it's kind of a slippery slope, but people really want services, and I think if we sell the product to them, you can't just go overall and saying we need this. I think if you lay it out to John Q. Public, the citizen, and you educate them as we go and know where we're at, and I think they want to be average. They want our people to get at least average pay. I think they want them to get above. They probably may not want to pay for it. But I think everybody wants us to keep people. And I went back to the crime stats, and I compare us to anybody. Go on the TBI website and compare us. I really want to keep those people. And I think the county, and even when I leave the Office of Sheriff, I would like to have good trained people there, and us get better as we go. So I will have it together, and I will communicate with you as my chair, and we will move ahead putting it in the budget.
Well, I think Mr. Thompson has a good idea that if your people and EMS and the fire department all would get together on small groups and decide exactly where we can go and come back to us with some kind of figure before budget time, not wait to right at budget time to hit us with it, so we have an idea of where we're at to start with.
I can do that. I can lay it out. I want everybody to start discussing and be very transparent, because I think everybody needs to be on the same plane. We may not agree. It's okay to disagree, but then we got to, I think most everybody realizes something has to be done as we move forward.
You had mentioned in our last meeting, I think, that you were going to go out and start talking to some of the clubs and things
I will,
referencing your
and I
plan.
know
Have you started that yet? Or
Yeah,
is
well,
that,
I'm set, and I think probably the mayor is too. I think all of us get set with Kiwanis Club at some point in time. I'll be speaking with them. The date's set. They called me the other day. I don't know the date. It's after the first of the year. So I will start sharing what we're doing. I should have some numbers together by then, is when I do. And then I will get some feedback too, and you can watch as to what the people are thinking, what's on their mind as to what they think needs to be done. I think the more people we can touch and get their opinions, the better off we are, because people feel inclusive. They at least want to know what you're doing with the monies, and we'll go from there.
that's a good idea, because I think it's, like Mr. Thompson said, we're going to have to look hard at some way of raising a little more money, because we are growing tremendously fast in this county, and I don't think at present time we can afford what we got if we're not careful. We're going to have to do something.
I think it's going to be a tough decision. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a tough decision that we have to make, but I sincerely want to go out and get everybody involved and get their opinions. You represent your constituents in your district, and you got to represent what they believe. I understand that. I've been around the political world most of my life, and I know we have to answer to those people, but not only do I have to answer to them, I have to walk in the doors to the sheriff's office, and those people have to know I'm representing them as well when I know they're behind in pay. And we didn't spring the board. Other counties started springing the board around us up in pay, which put us way behind.
Any questions for the sheriff referencing employee pay update or anything? Seeing none, we'll move on to 287G update.
287G is an immigration program that I have agreed to sign up for the jail model, and Chief Johnstone is going to come up and give you an update as to where we're at and what we're going to do.
As Sheriff said, I'll give you a brief overview of what the 287G jail enforcement model is. 287G is a federal program that allows local law enforcement to partner with ICE. We have a current signed memorandum of agreement with ICE for the jail enforcement model. It hasn't been implemented yet, because the next step will be nominating probably 5 or 6 deputies to send to training. That training is generally about 4 weeks. But in that training, they will be trained by ICE to process individuals that are arrested for a crime and brought to the jail. The scope of their authority is only inside the jail for those that have been charged with a crime when they're brought to the jail, they will have, we also receive the computer and stuff that they can access ICE database to process them. And if they're here unlawfully, they can do the paperwork to do the holds. And then we can also, as soon as they're finished with their charges here, or whatever the crime they've committed, as soon as that's taken care of, we can transport them straight to Chattanooga to be processed or to held at the holding facility in Chattanooga. Again, it only applies to inside the walls of the jail when somebody is arrested. We will not have anybody that has authority to go out and check their status or outside in the community. Also, as part of it, since we will be transporting inmates or transporting those individuals after they're through here to the Chattanooga holding facility, the state has a grant for that would be eligible for a transport van, since would be transporting some of those. Questions?
Any questions, Mr. Winters?
Have we had much movement of this quality of person we're trying to work with that are illegal, that are also committing crimes? Are we having much of that at this point?
7 to 10 a
10 a
month
month.
that fall into that category, that are brought in on
Right.
or arrested on a crime and are determined to be here unlawfully.
We would not be getting involved unless they broke the law.
Now, it would just be the corrections officers
yeah.
that are trained to access the database to see if they're here lawfully.
And I think our public needs to understand that we support ICE. ICE is doing a job that's required by law, and also that when we went through the election, people wanted this to be done. And so I think we need to make sure we don't get groups that are just saying we're anti-ICE, from my opinion. Thank you, Mr.
They would also be able to fill out the paperwork that an ICE agent would fill out to do the process. Instead of waiting on an ICE agent to come and fill that out, these trained officers could do that, and then we could have them transported.
Well, those trained officers that's going to be working with the ICE will also stay as regular deputies unless they have a situation that they need to bring in an ICE or talk about ICE.
We're talking about probably one of the supervisors on duty on each shift, but I was told probably figure 30 minutes on time when somebody's brought in, to do that if it's determined they're here unlawfully. So they will be doing the regular duties, and this will just be a side job. It will not be an extra or a standalone job for them. Right.
So they'll stay active in the
Yes.
duty and everything.
Probably the supervisors and the transport officers that transport people now will have that training. We nominate the people, and then ICE does a background check on them and goes through their thing before they let us know that they've accepted them, and then they train them. And it's, of course, the government shut down. It's on hold right now. The training, we're waiting on the training dates, but when the training dates come down, they'll probably be gone for a week, and then the rest of it's mostly online training.
Any other questions for Officer Stone? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
And we've been playing back and forth on this with them. The state actually has a person in charge, and he's been to our office as well as the federal people. I'll probably be coming back with a plan to you, and I've mentioned it to the mayor as to where they have offered, if we want to hold them or what the time we are holding them. And generally it would be 72 hours after they complete their state sentence. If we're holding them, we'll get paid for that. I've got to work all that out with them, or if we want to hold any more in addition to, probably will pay better than the federal inmates. We will see, but I'll get back with you. We want the most bang for our time. So I'll get with you as we move through that process. In the next meeting, I'll update you.
Think you and I talked about it earlier. That's not going to influence the total number of prisoners we keep in the jail to any major degree, will it?
No, I can promise you, if there's one thing I watch is the numbers, and I can't agree to any agreements which would overflow us. I always go back to the night I took office. We had 583. and then I got to 604 and held my heart. But now each judge gets, the district attorney, and all the players in the judicial system get our numbers every day to know where we're at. And I will say they've been working with us and working with us well. But if I see it exploding, believe me, I'll be at this podium addressing you.
If not, any other business we needed to conduct, at this point in time? Anything else, Sheriff, Mayor, anybody? Any